Well, welcome back to our Wednesday Word. I know a lot of us are probably watching this at home as we're dealing with illness in our homes, and this is my last day, for instance, of quarantine. I'm glad to be out. Um, but as I was thinking about how we might be encouraged, when I think about the Christmas songs that we sing during time of Advent, so certainly preparing for this Sunday, but also for our Christmas Eve service next week, one of the songs that I love the most is "O Holy Night," and we all know it fairly well, I'm certain. But the last couple of years, even before I came to fellowship, we've sung a version that has a couple of verses I think that do a good job of better fleshing out the gospel picture that was original to the song when it was written. In French, and then a man by the name of Timothy Dwight is credited with translating it. And probably did not do as good a job at capturing the gospel in the way I think the original French lyrics did. For instance, a literal translation of how that song actually begins goes something like this: "Midnight, Christians, it is the solemn hour when God, as man, descended unto us to erase the stain of original sin and to end the wrath of his Father." It's quite different from the way a lot of traditional renditions of the song. You do a search on YouTube and you'll find a plethora of different versions, some pretty good, some not so much. And I don't think there's any question that the melody stirs something in our hearts that touches us deeply. But we can taste the passion and the profundity we rarely encounter in our lives. You kind of almost feel holy listening to it. But holiness is not a feeling. Holiness is not an atmosphere, an attitude of some sort of superiority. Holy is what God is. Unique in his essence, perfect in his character. And Sinclair Ferguson has a book called Devoted to God, and he reminds us that whatever God is, he was before anything else existed. And so that means that holiness is not something that can be defined simply as separation from evil, because there was no evil when the universe hadn't yet been created. God's holiness is primarily something that is positive. It is his absolute, complete, eternal devotion to himself and to his glory. And it can be seen in the love that existed between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit before time ever began. And so it was a Trinitarian love, an unimaginably beautiful, satisfying love that's unlike any other love that we know, because it is eternally right, it's eternally good, it's eternally joy-filled. And so out of the glad overflow of his holiness, God sent Jesus into the world so that we too might be holy. That is, that we might be holy, WHOLLY, wholly devoted to him and to his glory. And Christmas means that we actually can be. Now, what made the first Christmas holy? It was certainly unlike any other night before or since, but more precisely, God was showing us what lengths that he would go to for the sake of his name. And so the Son of God appears in human flesh to receive the judgment for our rebellion, to obtain the righteousness that we had forfeited in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve's rejection, thankfully, would not be the last word. Our despair was swallowed up by the grace, the truth that came through Jesus Christ. And so, God's commitment to certainly his sovereignty, to his mercy, it was on full display as one writer says, as he hung the door of history on the hinge of a Bethlehem stable. And so the more that we understand why this baby was born 2,000 years ago to Mary, this teenage girl in this small town, I think the more we'll want to know him, the more we'll want to be holy like him. And so, as much as I appreciate the beautiful, soaring renditions that, you hear done by Holy Night by Christian and secular artists alike, I like it best when the lyrics help us to understand what really was happening. And so we're certainly going to sing that song this upcoming Sunday and on Christmas Eve. Looking forward to you joining us. Oh, holy night.